Hi, I'm Lee from louleigh.co.uk. I'm on Ravelry as Louleigh and Instagram as Instabatic Louleigh, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell knitting bags, and that's Shop Louleigh on Etsy. I've sat down and forgotten what I was going to say. It's okay, I've got show notes. And this is my podcast about making stuff, which at the moment is mostly knitting. Yeah, welcome to my kitchen. It's really nice to have you here. I have been really looking forward to coming and speaking with you. Check my show notes to see what I was going to speak about. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that last week I fell over flat on my face. Which wasn't fun. I have knocked out a tooth, so I'm talking funny. I go to the dentist tomorrow to have that fixed, and I'm quite excited because it's a little bit sensitive and razor sharp. So I had jostled my brains around quite a lot. And I think today I'm actually feeling quite good again, and my face was quite badly grazed, but I got some really good advice about how to manage that, so that actually healed up really quickly. I'm not a stoic, ill person. I'm a complete drama queen, and I think the hairy man is actually a bit sick of me going, oh, my head hurts, oh, my face hurts, oh, I can't chew anything properly. So yes, he will be very pleased once I've been to the dentist tomorrow, I think. But thank you for all your kind wishes. That was really lovely, and it did make me feel a lot better in my misery. But anyway, to look at me now, you're probably wondering what the big deal was all about, but I can't recommend landing on your face. I can't recommend stopping a fall with your face. That's just not fun. So the other thing is that last week I mentioned that I had made some new threads in the Ravelry group, and you all went over and introduced yourself. It was lovely to hear from you and to hear from some old chums who have been watching the podcast for a while, and new ones that I didn't know were there, so that was really cool. Really enjoyed that. And I also started a what do you want to hear about thread, to which you contributed, and so I will start talking about that this time as well. There were some really good suggestions in there, and so if there's anything that you want to hear about, just pop over there and pop it into the thread. I won't answer them all at once. I'm going to drag it out as long as I can. I've got the windows open in the kitchen this morning, so you might hear the wildlife. There'll be a bit of residual noise. Yes, seagulls this morning. I'm guessing you can hear that, maybe you can't. I seem to be rattling through this quite quickly. I have a swig of my coffee. I mean, you don't want me to waffle on all day, but you know, I don't need to rattle it off like machine gun fire at you. That's coffee. It's usually coffee. So, what am I wearing? Today I have on a shawl that I actually wear quite a lot, and I think last time I talked about this I said all sorts of things that weren't true about it, and so I am going to link to the project on Ravelry because it's on there. That's where all the information is, and I forgot to look it up to tell you about it this time. I wear this a lot, and I think it's mainly because the colour kind of just goes with my eyes. And I also like a deep triangle shawl. This is actually a pattern by Stephanie Japel, and I've forgotten the name of it, but it's in my Ravelry page, so I shall, like I said, link to that in the show notes. It's not particularly soft or anything, but I do tend to grab this one and wear it a lot, partly because of the colour, partly because I like it's easy to wear. And I think partly also because it's not special. I didn't make it with a flash yarn, it's not super soft or anything, and so, you know, I feel like I can wear it down the allotment and not worry too much about it. Yeah, so that one. Right, today I've got a new segment. I've got the abandoned projects segment, because I think it might be almost a year ago that I talked about the Knit Sonic book that I had got that gives you a really nice way of choosing colour palettes for different projects. And I went and I did Felicity Ford's one of her courses at Shetland Wool Week and really enjoyed it. And I think at the time I had said that I was going to use for my inspiration some photographs of my childhood home, which was our farm in New Zealand. I should learn to put photos in so I don't need to hold up stuff you can't see. Maybe I should try that for next time. Yeah, so this was my childhood home in New Zealand and I was going to render this in knitting. And I did start. Somewhere in my box of stuff here is the thing where I started. Aha, here it is. I have everything, we have a big bin full of dog biscuits just here and I have everything teetering on the top of that. Right, so this was my swatch that I started. And you can see there's lots of hill type motifs. And I was quite pleased with this, but this is pretty much as far as I got. Look, I've not even washed it so it's nice and flat and you can see things. And I have a notebook where I charted everything out and kept notes on what colours I was using, but I kind of got this far and then just never picked it back up again. And I think one of the things that I learnt, not really learnt, that has sort of come to the fore in my mind that was there and I now am consciously recognising it, is that when I'm doing a project with colours, I usually start with one that really pops out to me and gets me excited, and these colours just don't do that. They are ho-hum and there's nothing there that's spurring me on to finish this project. And so as much as I would like to render my childhood home in knitting, yeah, I'm just not excited by that. I'm still excited by Felicity's methodology for choosing colour palettes, but I think I just need to find an inspiration source that has a colour in it that really speaks to me. So I have decided to abandon that project. And probably a good example of a project that a project that's kind of like is exciting to me because of a specific colour is the Croft House hat. This is a pattern by Ella Gordon and it is the Shetland Wool Week hat for this year. I'm not going and I'm so sad about that. But never mind. And I picked up the pattern at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and came home and started looking for at the different colour combinations. There was one actually on here, this one here at the end, that is blues and oranges that really, I really love that combination. But I came home and I was looking at my shade cards here and my eyes kept going back to this colour, and it's completely blown out. Actually, maybe that's not too bad. Whenever I looked at the shade card, I'm not a pink person at all, but this is kind of a very melony, sort of yellowy pink. It's called fuchsia. And I was just so drawn to this colour, and so I decided to base my whole palette for the hat around that colour. So I set off and I have ordered the yarn. Get it all out here. I have it all needle adjacent. I've got the whole bag ready to go. And those are the colours that I'm going to make my hat in. And I'm really excited about that because of that pinky colour. That just really sparks my interest. I haven't started that though, because I'm still going on my little rule that I need to finish 3 things before I start one thing. And I have a few things. I've just got one more thing to finish before I can start the Croft Who's hat. This is Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift. You've seen that here before. If you've been here before. If you've not been here before, welcome. Hello. And yeah, so I have that all ready to go. I think I have a larger than average head, and this just comes in one size, and so I'm sort of like, do I need to go up a needle size in order to make it fit me, or should I add in an extra pattern repeat? There's a few things to work out there when I actually finally get it started and I finally cast that on. But as I say, I've just got one more project to finish before I can do that, so that's really exciting. I'm going to put that down there, because if I keep ramming things back into my basket, I won't be able to find the next thing. So that was the abandoned project segment. Swig the coffee. I have a terrible list today due to my broken tooth. I said to the hairy man, maybe I should get the gold filling, and he basically said, oh, you're so 20th century. Platinum. Diamante. Anyway, so where am I? So whilst I was feeling a bit bashed in the head, I sort of needed something really simple to do. Yeah, I wasn't very good last Thursday evening. It was horrible. See, I'm not stoic. So a while ago you would have remembered seeing that I was making the Enchanted Mesa and by Stephen West, and I was making it out of a selection of sort of neutral blacker yarns. And I had got to the point where I had finished the torso, and so I popped it on and it was tight. It was unflatteringly tight. I kind of thought that I wanted it to be a bit more fitted, but I still wanted to keep all the design elements like the dropped armpit and you know, the shape of it. And otherwise it was just going to be a normal sweater, and I wanted it to be kind of a statement piece. And so Stephen West has said, you know, you need to have a bit of ease in this, and in fact he was right. And yeah, I did think about just finishing off the sleeves and maybe gifting the jumper away, but I really liked the yarn. So while I was in my dazed and confused state last week, I undid it. Whoops, and now I'm throwing it on the floor. So, and I have recast that on. I'm just up to the neck piece again, and I'm so excited to be starting it again, hopefully in a size that actually fits me. So yes, that is my, I suppose this is the restarted segment. Yeah, so I love the colours in here. These were inspired by my dog Barney, who you don't often see on here. It's usually Bobby that comes along, the little ginger ninja. But Barney kind of, he likes to find a quiet spot now and fall asleep. He's quite old, so yeah, so those are inspired by Barney, and I'm really excited to be working on that again. I got them all unravelled and washed and rewound and put back in my basket ready to go, so they look really exciting in there. Put everything back there, rolling around on the floor. Now I'm kicking that old dish. There's not much space in here, but hey ho. So that's the Barney jumper. We have reached the sock segment. So last time, I think you have seen these socks now a couple of times before, but and I have finished them. I have washed them in wool wash, Mitchell's wool wash, lovely. But I just wanted to say a couple more things about these before I sort of put them away. Started wearing them. Very excited to start wearing these. I have put this little stripe of pink across the toe. I did I kept calling this a heel last time, and it's not. So not a heel. So I had done a short row toe, and then I had kitchened it across the end here in pink, and I think if I were to do that again I would actually do a pearl ridge there just to make it a little bit more pronounced so you can see it a bit better. The other thing is that I have been noticing about my hand knit socks is that the fabric tends to be quite stretched and pulled in this area across the top of my instep. Is that what that's called? Foot anatomy. And so I have decided that on my next pair of socks for myself I'm going to put the gusset decreases further apart and just make that a little bit longer so that it doesn't decrease quite so quickly, and I'll have a bit more fabric along the top of my foot here. So yes, but other than that I'm very happy with these and I can't wait to start wearing them. I still have this idea they're going to fluff up in the washing machine, but they haven't been through the washing machine yet, so who knows. And someone else said that they had been knitting with this yarn and that it doesn't, it stays pretty hard and solid, so that will be interesting. So I have started a new socks, and I have finished the first one. This is some of the yarn that I bought in New Zealand when I had my bout of paranoia about running out of knitting, and I wanted to buy some hand-dyed yarn from a New Zealand dyer, and there are quite a few New Zealand dyers about, but I was struggling to find one that had yarn available immediately that I really badly wanted to own. And so eventually I actually ordered this from an Etsy seller in Australia, from Ren and Ollie, who had some lovely things in their shop, and this came from Australia to New Zealand super quick. I think this is Ollie's sock and the colourway is Cupcake, and I love this pink, and I actually bought it with a specific friend in mind who I wanted to make socks for, but I made this sock too big. So goodness knows who this lovely thing is going to. It's just slightly too small for me, but I'm going to put them away when I've finished in my gift basket, and I'm sure someone who is knitworthy will present themselves and I shall gift them a lovely pair of pink socks. And I have done something highly unusual for me. I've used a pattern. And when I say I've used a pattern, I've not read the pattern a month before and then used sort of like the stitch pattern and thrown in my own elements. I've actually followed a pattern from beginning to end without modifying it. Maybe that's probably why I've ended up with a sock that doesn't fit, but hey ho. So this is the Darjeeling pattern by Cat Bawdy, and it's in the book, the Knitter's Book of Socks by Clara Parks. So this is the What Would You Like to Hear About thread. And Vinca Kent asked, I'd like to know how you came to live in the UK with the hairy man, if that's not too intrusive. And that's not too intrusive. I'm actually a bit nervous about this because immigration here is such a contentious subject, and every time I turn on the telly I feel like immigrants are being painted as illegitimate, benefit-bludging criminals, which is completely incongruous with the way I feel about being in Britain. I'm really proud of being part of society here, and I feel really fortunate to have such a lovely life here. But anyway, I came to live in the UK about 14 years ago, basically because I wanted to see the world, and New Zealand and the United Kingdom have a reciprocal agreement where people in their 20s can come and work and travel for a couple of years and then go home and, I suppose, you know, make a life for themselves. And so I did that, and at the time I was a records manager and I had experience in electronic records management, which was something that was really big in government here. And so I was asked to stay and finish off the project that I was working on, and then when that came to an end I was asked to apply for another job, so I did that, and it sort of just went on from there. And as I say, I really enjoyed living here. I have done a bit of travelling and I've met some wonderful people and worked with some wonderful people. It's been really good. So that was basically how I came to live in the UK. Meeting the hairy man was a whole other kettle of fish. I have a gang of really nosy aunties in New Zealand who were always asking me, do you have a man? Have you met someone nice? And so I thought I was getting a bit sick of it. I felt like I should feel like I should just be satisfied the way I was, because as I say, I had quite a nice life. And so I thought, I know, I'll shut them up. I'm going to try internet dating for a year, and I shall go on all these dates, meet all these people and regale them with stories of how it didn't work out and what a silly idea it was. And about halfway through that year, I had been on some really, really boring dates. And yes, it had been an interesting experience anyway. So about halfway through the year, I started communicating with the hairy man. Yeah, and he was offshore at the time, and he wrote the funniest letters. I would read them out to my flatmate at the time, and we would just fall about laughing. And so by the time I actually met him, when he came on shore, we had been communicating, I think, for about 6 weeks, and I really felt like there was a bit of a connection there. And so yeah, and so that just worked out really well, really. What I thought was just an exercise in keeping my aunties quiet turned out to be pretty life-changing. And yeah, he invited me to come and live in Yorkshire with him, so I did, and it's been marvellous. I really enjoy it, and he's just wonderful. Yes, my hairy man is wonderful. So I think that's that story. There are other questions in the what do you want to hear about thread, and I shall answer those over the coming podcast. Thank you for putting them in there, and feel free to ask whatever you like. No secrets here. So yeah. So the last thing that I had to talk to you about was a shop update. So if you're not interested in knitting bags, then that's fine, but if you are, I have something to show you. As I said last time, I have been working on a new bag. I had been rereading, I think it's Knitting Rules is the title of the book, by the Yarn Harlot, just because she has some really good tips in there, and I just wanted to review the book. But there's a section where she talks about her ideal knitting bag, and I was reading this and it felt like someone had thrown down a challenge. I bet you can't do this, and I was like, I bet I can make that bag. So I decided to design a new bag to go into the shop. I hadn't really been happy with the large bag because I didn't feel like that sort of shape and design worked well in that size. So I have designed a brand new bag, and there is enough space in this bag for you to fit a sweater's quantity of yarn and straight needles if you're a straight knitter. There are still a few of you about, I know. So there's plenty of space in there. And it stands up by itself. And you can fit an entire pattern book in there, or pattern in there, without having to fold it. There are pockets as well. This is a prototype, so I've actually made a bit of a bungle, and the pockets in this one are not quite as big as I would like them to be, but they are there. Yeah. Should I tell you I've made a bungle on a bag? This is not a for sale one, it's just a prototype. But yes, I have been experimenting with different types of facings and different types of handle constructions. My dog's just coming through the dog door. And I'm really pleased with the way that this has turned out. It fits over your arm quite nicely, and as I say, it stands up. And yeah, so you can look out in the shop for those next week. I have some wonderful fabrics to make them, and I'm really excited about it. As I said, I tried out about, sorry, that was Barney coming along. He has a bit of difficulty getting through the door there. I tried out about 3 or 4 different face stiffenings and facings, and found one that I really liked. So yes, keep your eyes peeled for that one. So thank you very much for coming and spending some time with me today. It's been lovely to chat with you. If you haven't joined the Ravelry group and come and introduce yourself, then please do. That would be really lovely to hear from you and to meet you. And I shall see you next time. Cheerio.